What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Designsmith. Today we're going to be continuing our series on the Are You Afraid of the Dark Swiss Design posters. As you can see, here are the three that we've done so far, and the next one up is going to be the Tale of the Twisted Claw. Now, I have a lot of memories with this episode, and I've always liked it, but I haven't always loved it. I think the acting overall could have been better, but I do like the idea of the story. It's about these two kids that go out trick-or-treating and they knock on this lady's door, and instead of giving them candy, she gives them a claw that will grant them any wish they want. And as you can imagine, these kids are making these wishes, so they're going to wish for things that kids want to wish for. And in true Are You Afraid of the Dark fashion, it ends up backfiring and causing a lot of problems. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this one because there's a few different directions that we could go with it. It's never been one of my favorite episodes, so I'm just going to put pen to paper and see what I can come up with. All right, so we have our Tale of the Lonely Ghost one right up here, still on that same sheet of paper. This is really hard to stay on these grid lines when the microphone is in your face. All right, so the Tale of the Twisted Claw. How do you represent this in simple geometric shapes? Well, I'm just going to brainstorm some ideas here, and this is one of the very few episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark that actually takes place around Halloween. So I may see what I can do there, but there is a part in the episode where they break a vase, and then later on at the end of the episode, it's repaired again. So I may see what I can do there to kind of represent a vase with geometric shapes. So last time we had our title at the bottom left, so let's do the top left up here. And remember, anytime you're doing something like this, when you are starting from pen to paper, it can always change when you go from paper to the computer. So a vase is made up of a circle or an oval if you want. We can always refine this a little bit better in Illustrator. And let's kind of have a base of the vase right here with like a little shape right here. I don't know exactly what you would call that. Could do maybe like a little oval here at the top and just kind of use some Pathfinder magic and figure out a way to do that. I don't remember if the vase had handles, but we'll just say that they do. I'm a terrible drawer, so that's one of the reasons I became a designer. Always wanted to draw, but never really was very good at it. So this looks more like a tea kettle than a vase, but that's totally fine though. We can refine once we get into Illustrator. And then another thing we can do here is just kind of add in some cracks. You can also use the Pathfinder tool and go in and break sections apart with it so that it looks truly shattered. So I may do something like that, but this is our sad looking tea kettle gumball machine vase. I'm going to try something a little bit different here. We'll kind of adhere to the grid, but I want to put all the information right here on the left side, kind of in like a little quadrant. I just want to change things up a little bit. All right, so let's take this basic concept and go into Illustrator and see what we can do. All right, so I'm going to grab these guys and duplicate them over here and centered. And let's go ahead and lock our guides. All right, I'm going to copy over this text right here, just duplicate it over, and we'll go ahead and reverse it. And I copy it over this way to make sure that everything stays consistent. All of our sizing, all of our spacing, all of our leading, like all of those things need to stay consistent through this series of posters. The Twisted Ghost. I don't remember that episode. All right, just like we covered in the past, remember that we have horizontal ascenders and descenders, and that's what we've got going on here. So our T should be right there, and our C is a descender going this way, so that's where it needs to adhere to on the guide. And this episode was directed by DJ McHale, so we don't have to change anything there. The air date was September 5th, I believe. I'll go double check that. Yeah, September 5th, 1992, episode 4, and this one was also told by David, so we don't have to change anything there. All right, so for this little quadrant that we're going to be doing, let's move this up to right here, get this all the way over here, and then there's our baseline right there. Let's get this up here on this side, and then we'll align this right here. Our horizontal ascender right there, that's going to be right where that 1 is, right there. So the S is going to kind of spill over into that guide a little bit. And this one up here, we will bring all the way over to the guide. And then the episode 4, we'll bring this down here. Just kind of see how this looks. Once it's all in there, I think it'll look really good. Another example of a horizontal ascender here. This right here is kind of like our horizontal baseline, so that A is also going to spill over a little bit. All right, that layout there is pretty cool. Now, if we were doing something where each piece of information got a little bit less important, we would probably do something like this, where you would have the size of this and just kind of do something like this. And of course, you know, you would go in and adjust the kerning and the leading and everything like that. But for this series, we're going to leave this exactly the way it is. And then just kind of looking at the way everything is laid out right here, I do like this general layout. So let's bring up our guides. And I think that the section I'm going to be designing in is going to be just kind of like right here within this square. If we need to, we can branch out into here. And it's not saying that the design is going to cover up that text necessarily. It's just that that's where our design area is. So we may actually do something like that because the vase is going to kind of go down and contour as it goes down to the bottom. So we'll just call this our work area for this piece of art that we're going to be doing. All right, I'm going to drop this vase into here, and we're just going to use this as a reference point. What I want you to get used to doing is to looking at objects and seeing how those objects are made up. So let's take a look at this vase. This right here is a circle. This is also a circle. And then right here at the bottom, we've got like a square kind of with rounded edges. And also here's another circle as well. So let's see how we can use this as inspiration to create our own vase that is made up of simple geometric shapes, and we're going to do this entirely ourselves. So I'm going to change the color really quickly so we can easily see what we're working with here. This is actually a really valuable thing to do here when you're working with different shapes, or really just working with elements in general. So we're going to do this using nothing but shapes. Basically, we're going to put this together exactly the way that we want to, and then we're going to use our Pathfinder to remove all the areas that we don't want. And you can rotate things like this. Remember, this vase does not have to look exactly like the one we're using for reference. And you can also use something like, you know, rectangles and stuff like that. We can go in and refine those areas when we're finished. And what I'm doing here, and I suggest you do the same, is to do one side, and then we'll just copy it over. That way we don't have to worry about doing two different sides and having them match up with each other. You can also use your pen tool. We'll go kind of something like this and just kind of fill in these areas here. If you're not yet used to your pen tool, then you need to get familiar with it. Okay, looking good over here. So let's go ahead and select all of these, and we're going to click on divide. And now with our direct selection tool, we're going to take out this circle and this circle. And now we're going to grab this anchor point right here and just kind of round it like that. Now let's go ahead and select all of this, click on Unite, and now we can click on this anchor point and smooth this out. And now let's duplicate this over and hit Transform and Reflect, hit OK. And now we'll line this up just like this, and there's our vase. And we put that together using nothing but simple geometric shapes. All right, so there's our vase, and what we'll do is we'll select the vase and then the rectangle. Click on the rectangle to make sure that you are aligning it to this rectangle. And let's go to horizontal align center and vertical align center. Now let's bring up our grid and hold down our Shift and Option key, or Alt key if you're on Windows. And we'll size this all the way up to our grid section right here. And now we can just delete that rectangle. And it's a little bit too close to this text over here, so let's move this over here to this side. That gives it a little bit more breathing room. And we also have to go in and adjust this line right here. Make sure you have your direct selection when you do that. And I'm just going to hit delete on those. Good. Okay, I'm not going to bother putting the handles on here, but what I am going to do is draw some lines in here, just kind of randomly. And we're going to use these to create our shattered look, and we're going to shatter this vase. And the key really is to be, you know, nice and random. Okay, so now we're going to select all of these. Go over here to divide, and let's get rid of all of these strokes right here. And now we can select each one of these individually and just kind of move them like this. And I'll rotate it just to illustrate some movement, like it's falling apart. It's not something you normally see with Swiss posters, things breaking and things falling apart, but it is something fun to try. And if you're going to do something like this, make sure that it's still clear what the object is. All right, I like this a lot. Now let's go ahead and find some colors. All right, I'm looking around right here. I think I'm gonna go with this orange for the background. Since it does take place at Halloween, I feel like we need to have some kind of a reference to Halloween here. Okay, that's looking really cool. And the claw itself is made of wood, so let's grab this brown right here, and that'll be all of our text colors and the art. It's a little bit of a light color, but I think it works just fine. If anything else, we could always grab a brighter orange. There we go, that works much better. And I'm just going to go in here and do a final kerning on the new words that we've put in here. The word episode is just fine, so we'll just kern the word for here. And now let's go up here to the title, and kern this a little bit more. As I've said in previous videos, the original Swiss design posters had very tight kerning, so don't be afraid to kern a little bit on the tighter side, especially if you want an authentic look. All right, here it is, the tail of the Twisted Claw with our shattered vase right here. All of the information down here in the bottom left. I actually really like this layout. All right, well, thank you so much for watching today. I hope I taught you something in Illustrator, and thank you so much for subscribing. Be sure to click that bell for notifications on all future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.